The cruise photo mocked me from my phone screen. Isaac, grinning with his arm around his new girlfriend, on a pristine deck, Caribbean waters sparkling behind them. My hands trembled as I read his caption. Living our best life. 2 weeks in paradise with my love. My name is Lillian, and my ex-husband just spent our children's college fund on a luxury vacation. Mom? Marley's voice snapped me back to reality. She stood in our kitchen doorway, backpack slung over one shoulder. You okay? You look like you're going to be sick. I forced a smile, tucking my phone away. I'm fine, sweetie. Just tired. Did you need lunch money? No, but Tyler does. He forgot his again. She hesitated. Dad was supposed to send his monthly support yesterday. Did he? Don't worry about it, I said quickly, reaching for my purse. I pulled out a 20 and handed it to her. Make sure your brother eats something real, not just chips from the vending machine. The moment Marley left, I called Robert, my lawyer. His secretary put me through immediately. Tell me you've heard from him, I said, pacing our small kitchen. Lillian, I was just about to call you. We received a letter from Isaac's lawyer this morning. My stomach dropped, and he's filing for a reduction in support payments, claims his business is struggling, and he can't afford the current amount. I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. Struggling. He's on a cruise ship right now with his girlfriend. I'm looking at photos of them drinking champagne. Send me those photos, Robert said sharply. Screenshots, links, everything. When was this posted? This morning. Robert, I can barely keep up with the bills. The kids need new clothes. Marley's college applications are coming up. Lillian, listen carefully. I just received some concerning information about Isaac's finances. Are you sitting down? I gripped the kitchen counter. What is it? One of our investigators found evidence that Isaac's been hiding income. He's been transferring money into an account under his mother's name for months. The cruise is just the tip of the iceberg. The room spun slightly. How much? We're still tracking it, but preliminary numbers suggest over $200,000. My free hand clenched into a fist. $200,000, while I scraped together lunch money and worked overtime to keep our lights on. What do we do? I asked, my voice steady, despite the rage building in my chest. First, we document everything. But Lillian, there's something else. A certified letter arrived at my office this morning from Isaac's new employer. What does it say? He's accepted a position overseas, Singapore, 3-year contract, starting next month. The phone nearly slipped from my hand. He can't just leave the country. What about the kids? That's why I'm calling. We need to act fast. Are you free to meet this afternoon? There are options, but some of them, Robert paused. Some of them might require you to make difficult choices. I looked at the family photo, still hanging on our wall, taken 2 years ago, before everything fell apart. Before Isaac decided his happiness mattered more than his children's stability. I'll be there in an hour, I said, already reaching for my car keys. And Robert, whatever it takes, I'm done playing nice. Lillian, be careful. Revenge might feel good, but this isn't about revenge. I cut him off. Though we both knew that wasn't entirely true, this is about justice and making sure my children don't pay for their father's selfishness. As I hung up, a text from Isaac lit up my phone. We need to talk about the support payments. Things are tight right now. I stared at his message, at the cruise photo still visible above it, and made a decision. If Isaac wanted to play dirty, he was about to learn exactly what I was capable of. Robert's office felt colder than usual as he spread documents across his desk. Bank statements, property records, and corporate filings created a paper trail of Isaac's deception. Look at this, Robert pointed to a transaction record. He's been funneling money through 3 different shell companies, each deposit just under the reporting threshold. In English, please, I said, rubbing my temples. He's hiding money systematically, moving it around to avoid detection. Robert leaned back in his chair, and doing a pretty amateur job of it, thankfully. A knock interrupted us. Robert's assistant poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, But there's someone here insisting on speaking with you, Lillian. Says her name is Jocelyn. My heart stopped. Isaac's girlfriend. The cruise ship champion. Send her in, I said, before Robert could object. Jocelyn walked in, designer handbag clutched to her chest like armor. She looked younger in person, barely older than a college graduate. I'm sorry for showing up like this, she said, hovering by the door. Isaac doesn't know I'm here. Robert gathered the papers quickly. I'll give you ladies a moment. Once we were alone, Jocelyn's composed facade cracked. I didn't know about the kids, she blurted out. He told me you were the one who left, that you had a gambling problem and couldn't be trusted with money. I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make her flinch. Is that what he told you? Did he mention the college fund he drained, or the mortgage payments he's 3 months behind on? He said the business was struggling. That's why we had to be careful with the cruise photos. She sat down heavily. But I saw something on his laptop last night. Account statements. The business isn't struggling at all, is it? No, I said quietly. It's not. There's more, she whispered, reaching into her bag. I took pictures. She handed me her phone, hands shaking slightly. He's been planning this Singapore move for months. He has an apartment there already, paid 6 months in advance. I scrolled through the photos, each one a fresh betrayal. Why are you showing me this? Because I have a little sister Marley's age, Jocelyn said. And if someone did this to her, she stood up abruptly. I should go. He'll be wondering where I am. But there's something else you should know. He's meeting with his lawyer tomorrow about filing for full custody before he leaves. The room tilted dangerously. Full custody. He says it'll be easier to move the kids to Singapore if he has full custody first. He's going to claim you're unstable, unfit. She reached the door, then turned back. I'm sorry, I really didn't know. After she left, Robert returned, finding me still staring at Jocelyn's photos. Well, he said, sitting down. That was unexpected. He wants to take my kids to Singapore. My voice sounded distant, hollow. My kids, Robert. Not going to happen. He picked up his phone. I know someone in the DA's office. These financial records, plus Jocelyn's evidence. We might be looking at fraud charges. Criminal charges won't stop him from filing for custody tomorrow. No, Robert agreed. But this will. He pulled out a final document. Remember that difficult choice I mentioned? This is it. A temporary emergency custody order. If we file it today, with evidence of his planned flight risk, do it, I said immediately. Lillian, wait. This is nuclear. Once we do this, there's no going back. No chance of an amicable resolution. I thought of Isaac's smiling cruise photos, of Marley asking about lunch money, of my children potentially being taken halfway around the world. He destroyed amicable the moment he decided to steal from our children, I said. File it. File everything. Robert nodded grimly and reached for his phone. Judge Cadence is on duty today. She'll want to see this immediately. The war had begun, and this time I wasn't going to lose. The emergency custody order hit Isaac like a thunderbolt. His calls started at dawn. First my phone, then my brother Eric's, even trying Marley's cell until I blocked his number on all our devices. I was stirring pasta for the kids' dinner when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Jocelyn again, this time with red-rimmed eyes and smeared mascara. He knows I talked to you, she said, the moment I opened the door. He's furious. He's been on the phone with his lawyer all day, saying he's going to destroy you in court. Come in, I said, checking the street behind her. Are you okay? She shook her head, collapsing onto my couch. He's not who I thought he was. The things he said about you, about the kids. I recorded some of it. She pulled out her phone with trembling hands. I thought you should hear it. I called Eric immediately. He arrived within minutes, still in his police uniform from his shift. Play it, he said, sitting beside me. Isaac's voice filled my living room, cold and calculated. I don't care what it costs. Find something on her. Mental health issues, drinking, anything. She's not taking my money and getting away with it. Once we're in Singapore, she'll never see those kids again. There's more, Jocelyn said quietly, about the offshore accounts. The recording continued, Isaac detailing plans to move more money before courts could freeze his assets. My brother's face darkened with each revelation. This is enough for criminal charges, Eric said, already typing on his phone. I know people in financial crimes. They'll want to hear this. The front door opened, and Marley walked in with her brother Tyler. They froze at the sight of Jocelyn. What's she doing here? Marley demanded, stepping protectively in front of Tyler. It's okay, I said quickly. She's helping us. Helping? Marley's voice cracked. Dad just called me, saying you're trying to keep him from seeing us. He said you're making up lies about him. Marley, Jocelyn stood up. Your dad lied. I'm so sorry, but he… Don't. Marley shouted. Don't talk to me. You're the reason everything's messed up. Tyler, take your sister upstairs, Eric said firmly. Now. Once they were gone, I sank into a chair, the weight of everything crushing down. They're so angry, confused. They need to know the truth, Eric said. About Singapore, about all of it. Lillian, Jocelyn leaned forward. There's something else, something I didn't tell you yesterday. She pulled out a folded paper from her purse. I found this in his office. It's a job acceptance letter, dated 3 months ago. He's been planning this since before our cruise. My hands shook as I read the letter. He knew, all this time, while I was begging him for child support. Mom! Marley stood at the bottom of the stairs, Tyler beside her. They must have heard everything. I'm so sorry, I started, but Marley cut me off. Don't apologize, show us. I looked at Eric, who nodded. For the next hour, we showed them everything. The financial records, the recordings, the job letter. Tyler cried. Marley didn't. She just got quieter and quieter. Finally, she looked up. Singapore? He was really going to… Yes, I whispered. Then do it, she said, her voice steel. Do whatever you have to do. We're not going anywhere with him. My phone buzzed. A text from Robert. Judge Cadence wants an emergency hearing. Tomorrow morning, Isaac's lawyer is fighting the custody order. I showed the message to Eric. Good, he said grimly. Let him come. Between Jocelyn's evidence and these recordings. He squeezed my shoulder. He's not taking anyone anywhere. I looked at my children, at Jocelyn's tear-stained face, at the pile of damning evidence on my coffee table. Tomorrow would change everything, but for the first time, I was ready. The courthouse hallway buzzed with tension. Isaac stood at one end with his lawyer, wearing the same expensive suit he'd worn to sign our divorce papers. I sat on a bench with Robert, watching Judge Cadence's door. Remember, Robert whispered, let me do the talking, no matter what he says. Isaac's lawyer approached us, tablet in hand. We have a proposal. My client is willing to drop the Singapore plans if Mrs. Baker withdraws her criminal allegations. That's not happening, Robert replied, without looking up from his papers. Don't be hasty, the lawyer continued. We have evidence that… The courtroom doors opened. All parties in the Baker case, the clerk called. Inside, Isaac wouldn't meet my eyes. Judge Cadence, a stern-faced woman in her 40s, studied the papers before her. This is highly irregular, she began. Mr. Dawson, you accepted international employment without notifying the court of your intent to relocate minor children. Your Honor, Isaac's lawyer stood. My client's employment opportunity arose suddenly. He planned to file the proper. 3 months ago, I blurted out, earning a sharp look from Robert. He accepted the position 3 months ago. Judge Cadence raised an eyebrow. Is this true, Mr. Dawson? Before Isaac could respond, the courtroom door opened. Jocelyn walked in, clutching a familiar laptop. What is she doing here? Isaac hissed, face reddening. Your Honor, Robert stood. We have evidence that Mr. Dawson's relocation plans were premeditated, part of a larger scheme to evade support obligations and remove the children from their mother's custody. Objection. Isaac's lawyer shouted. This is hearsay from a spurned girlfriend. Actually, Jocelyn stepped forward. It's all right here. Emails, bank statements, apartment leases in Singapore, everything. Isaac lunged for the laptop. You had no right. Mr. Dawson. Judge Cadence's gavel cracked like a gunshot. Sit down, or I'll have you removed. The next hour was a blur of evidence presentations. Robert methodically laid out Isaac's financial deceptions, while Isaac's face grew increasingly pale. Furthermore, Robert concluded, we have audio evidence of Mr. Dawson explicitly stating his intention to prevent my client from ever seeing her children again. Judge Cadence's expression hardened as she listened to the recordings. When they finished, she removed her glasses slowly. Mr. Dawson, do you understand the severity of these allegations? Isaac stood, straightening his tie. Your Honor, I can explain. This is all a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I couldn't help myself. Like the college fund you spent on your cruise. Quiet, Judge Cadence ordered, but her eyes softened when they met mine. I've heard enough. Given the evidence of financial misconduct and flight risk, I'm extending the emergency custody order. Mr. Dawson, you are not to leave the state. Your passports, both yours and the children's, will be surrendered to the court immediately. You can't do this, Isaac protested. I have rights. Rights? Judge Cadence's voice could have frozen fire. Like your children's right to financial support, or their right to a father who puts their needs before his own. She turned to me. Mrs. Baker, the court will schedule a full hearing regarding the financial discrepancies. Until then, primary custody remains with you. Mr. Dawson's visitation will be supervised. As we left the courtroom, Isaac grabbed my arm. You've ruined everything, he snarled. You think you've won. This isn't over. Remove your hand. Eric's voice came from behind us. He must have slipped in during the hearing. Now, Isaac released me, stepping back. You'll regret this, Lillian. All of you will. No, I said quietly, watching him retreat down the hallway. The only thing I regret is ever believing you cared about anyone but yourself. Robert touched my shoulder. This is just the beginning. Are you ready for what comes next? I thought of Marley and Tyler waiting at home, of the battles still ahead. Whatever it takes, I said. He's not hurting our children again. He's selling the house, Eleanor said, handing me a real estate listing on her phone. My elderly neighbor had become my closest confidant through this mess, the one he bought his mother last year. I nearly dropped my coffee mug. That house was purchased with our money, the kids' money. Exactly. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. He's liquidating assets before the court can freeze them. I immediately called Robert, putting him on speaker. Already on it, he said, before I could explain. We filed an emergency injunction this morning. But Lillian, there's something else. The DA's office wants to meet with you. Today, if possible. My doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Marley getting out of a car, tears streaming down her face. I have to call you back. I opened the door. Honey, what happened? Dad ambushed me at school, she sobbed, collapsing into my arms. He was waiting in the parking lot with his lawyer. They wanted me to sign something saying I wanted to live with him. Eleanor was already dialing Eric's number. Did you sign anything? I asked, leading Marley to the couch. She shook her head. No, but Dad got so angry. He said if I really loved him, I'd help him fight you. That you're trying to send him to jail. That's harassment of a minor. Eric's voice came through Eleanor's phone. I'm calling Judge Cadence's office right now. He showed me pictures, Marley continued, her voice small, of the house in Singapore. Said Tyler and I would each have our own pools, that we'd go to international schools and travel all over Asia. My heart clenched. And what did you say? I told him I'd rather live in a cardboard box with you than in a mansion with him. She wiped her eyes. That's when he got scary. Said you'd poisoned me against him. That you'd pay for this. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Robert, looking grim. The DA's here, he said. In my office. They found something big. Eleanor squeezed my hand. Go. I'll stay with Marley. 20 minutes later, I sat across from two serious-faced prosecutors while Robert showed them Jocelyn's recordings. "This goes beyond hidden assets," the female prosecutor said. "We've uncovered evidence of systematic fraud, multiple shell companies, fake invoices, tax evasion. Your ex-husband could be looking at serious prison time." The male prosecutor leaned forward. "But we need your help. As his former business partner and spouse, your testimony would be crucial." "Prison," I whispered. "Despite everything." The word felt heavy. 5 to 10 years, minimum, he confirmed, unless he cooperates and returns the money. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. "Dad's trying to FaceTime me. What should I do?" Then another from Eleanor. "Marley's calmer now, but you should hurry back." "Mrs. Baker," the female prosecutor prompted. "Will you help us?" I thought of Marley's tears, of Tyler's confusion, of college funds spent on cruises and Singapore mansions, of a man who would ambush his teenage daughter in a school parking lot. "What do you need me to do?" "First," Robert interjected, "we need to ensure your safety. Isaac's behavior is escalating. He's already violated the court order by approaching Marley." "I want my kids protected," I said firmly. "Whatever happens to Isaac, they come first." "Of course." The female prosecutor nodded. "We'll request a restraining order immediately." "But Mrs. Baker, once we move forward, there's no going back. Are you absolutely sure?" My phone buzzed again. A message from Isaac. "Last chance, Lillian. Drop everything, and I'll make sure you never have to work again. Fight me, and I'll make sure you lose everything." I showed them the message. I'm sure he thought he could buy our silence with promises of pools and mansions. Time to show him how wrong he was. The prosecutors exchanged looks. "We'll need you back here tomorrow morning. This is going to move fast." "Good," I said, standing up, "because I'm done playing defense." The DA's office buzzed with activity as investigators laid out years of Isaac's financial records across the conference table. Bank statements, property deeds, and offshore account details painted a picture of calculated deception. "Look at this." The lead investigator pointed to a document. "Every major withdrawal coincides with a deposit to this account in the Cayman Islands." My hands shook as I recognized the dates. That's when he told me we couldn't afford Marley's braces. The door burst open. Robert rushed in, waving his phone. "We've got a problem. Isaac's trying to flee." "What?" I stood up so fast my chair toppled. Airport security just stopped him at the international terminal. He had a ticket to Singapore and over $50,000 in cash. The female prosecutor, Sarah, immediately grabbed her phone. "I want officers at his house now. Search warrants already signed." My phone lit up with a text from Jocelyn. "He's lost it. Completely lost it. Be careful." "Mrs. Baker," Sarah turned to me. "We need to move you and your children to a safe location. Now." "They're at school," I said, already dialing Eleanor. "I'll have my neighbor." "Already handled." Eric appeared in the doorway, still in uniform. I pulled some strings. "Officers are escorting them to the station right now." A young assistant rushed in. "You need to see this. He's live on Instagram." Everyone crowded around the phone. Isaac's face filled the screen, his usual polished appearance replaced by wild eyes and disheveled hair. "You want the truth?" he ranted. "Here's the truth. My wife is trying to destroy me because she's jealous. She's turning my kids against me. But I've got proof of her lies. I've got—" The feed cut off abruptly. His lawyer must have finally reached him, Robert muttered. Sarah's phone rang. "Yes? When?" "Keep me posted." She hung up, face grim. Officers just found his house completely ransacked. Computer smashed. Papers everywhere. But they also found something interesting. Detailed plans for moving the kids to Singapore, including fake passports. My knees went weak. Fake passports? He was never planning to wait for court approval, Robert said quietly. The legal proceedings were just a distraction. Another officer entered with a stack of papers, financial records from his mother's house. "You're going to want to see these." For the next hour, we pieced together the full scope of Isaac's deception. hidden accounts, forged documents, years of systematic fraud, all while claiming he couldn't afford child support. "We've got him," Sarah announced finally. "Multiple felony counts. No judge will grant bail given the flight risk." My phone buzzed again. "Marley, at police station with Tyler. We're okay. Officer said you're coming soon. Go." Sarah nodded. "We'll call when he's in custody." Eric drove me to the station, lights flashing. "You know this isn't over," he said quietly. "Men like Isaac, when they're cornered." "I know," I replied, watching the city blur past. "But he's not hurting them again. Ever." At the station, Marley and Tyler rushed into my arms. Behind them, Eleanor dabbed her eyes with a tissue. "Mom," Tyler whispered, "is Dad going to jail?" Before I could answer, a commotion erupted at the front desk. Isaac's lawyer had arrived, demanding to speak with his client. "Your client," the desk sergeant replied loudly, "is currently being processed on multiple federal charges. You can see him after booking." Marley gripped my hand. "What happens now?" I looked at my children's faces, seeing fear, but also relief. They'd been carrying this burden too, trying to navigate between their father's manipulation and their own truth. "Now," I said, pulling them close, "we start healing. Together." Eric touched my shoulder. "They're ready for your official statement. You want me to come with you?" I straightened up, drawing strength from my children's presence. "No, I've got this. It's time to tell the whole story." The courthouse buzzed with tension as I took the witness stand. Isaac sat at the defense table, wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of his usual designer suits. His eyes bore into me with cold hatred. "Mrs. Baker," the prosecutor began, "please tell the court about the events of March 15th, when you first discovered the missing college funds." I gripped the microphone. I was trying to make a deposit into the children's accounts. The teller said they'd been emptied months ago. And who had access to these accounts? Just Isaac and me. But I hadn't touched them. They were for the kids' future. The prosecutor displayed bank statements on the courtroom screen. "These transfers, moving money to offshore accounts, did you authorize them?" "No, I didn't even know they existed." Isaac's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client maintains these transfers were for legitimate business expenses." "Business expenses," Jocelyn's voice rang out from the gallery. She'd been subpoenaed to testify. "Is that what you call the down payment on the Singapore apartment? The fake passports?" "Order." Judge Cadence banged her gavel. "Ms. Watts, you'll have your turn to testify." The evidence mounted throughout the day. Bank records, travel documents, the smashed computer from Isaac's house, where forensics had recovered deleted emails detailing his escape plans. During a brief recess, Robert pulled me aside. "They're offering a deal, 10 years, if he returns the money and pleads guilty. And if he doesn't, they'll push for 20, plus additional charges for the fake passports." I looked across the hallway where Marley stood with Eleanor. My daughter had insisted on being here, on watching her father face consequences. "It's his choice," I said. Just like everything else was his choice. Back in session, Isaac's lawyer approached the bench. For several minutes, they spoke in hushed tones. Finally, Judge Cadence addressed the court. "The defendant wishes to change his plea." The gallery erupted in whispers. Isaac stood, shoulders slumped. "Before you enter your plea," Judge Cadence continued, "do you understand that you'll be required to make full restitution?" "Yes," Isaac muttered. "And you understand you'll have no contact with Mrs. Baker or your children, except through court-approved channels?" He nodded stiffly. "Very well. How do you plead?" "Guilty," he said, the word barely audible. Judge Cadence turned to me. "Mrs. Baker, would you like to make a statement?" I stood, my prepared speech forgotten, as I looked at the man I'd once loved, once trusted, with everything. "You didn't just steal money," I said, my voice steady. "You stole years of peace from your children. You made them doubt themselves, doubt me, doubt everything they knew about family and trust. But we're stronger than your lies. We're stronger than your manipulation. And we're going to be just fine without you." Marley wiped tears from her cheeks. Tyler, sitting with Eric, sat straighter in his chair. The defendant will be remanded into custody pending sentencing, Judge Cadence announced. Mrs. Baker, the court will ensure all assets are recovered and returned to the appropriate accounts. As officers approached Isaac, he turned to me one last time. I never meant, save it, I cut him off. The only thing that matters now is that you can't hurt them anymore. Outside the courthouse, reporters clustered with cameras, but Eric and his fellow officers kept them back. Marley slipped her hand into mine. Mom, she said quietly, I'm proud of you. Robert approached with final paperwork. It's done. The pleas entered. Accounts are frozen. He's not getting out of this. I looked at my family, Marley standing tall, Tyler managing a small smile, Eleanor and Eric flanking us protectively, even Jocelyn hovering nearby with tears in her eyes. No, I agreed, squeezing Marley's hand. He's not, and neither are we. The autumn sun felt warm on my face as we walked to the car, leaving the courthouse and Isaac's shadows behind. We had a future to rebuild, and finally we could do it without looking over our shoulders. The acceptance letter trembled in Marley's hands as she read it aloud at our kitchen table. Dear Ms. Baker, we are pleased to offer you admission to Stanford University's class of 2028 with a full academic scholarship. Full scholarship, Tyler whooped, nearly knocking over his cereal. See? You didn't need Dad's money after all. Eleanor wiped happy tears from her eyes while setting down a plate of celebratory pancakes. Your mother's determination made this possible. My phone buzzed. A text from Robert. Final restitution payment cleared. College accounts fully restored. It's really over. I showed the message to Marley, who smiled softly. Good timing, though I guess we don't need it now. Oh yes, we do, I said firmly. That money's still for your future. And Tyler's. It was always meant for that. The doorbell rang. Eric stood there with a thick envelope. Special delivery from the court. Thought you'd want this right away. Inside was the final divorce modification order, officially terminating all of Isaac's parental rights. His choice, his final attempt to avoid additional penalties. Mom, Tyler asked quietly, can I take down Dad's pictures now? I looked at the family photos, still hanging on our wall, frozen memories of happier times. If you want to, but you don't have to erase him completely. He's still part of your story. No, Marley said, standing to help her brother. He's part of our old story. We're writing a new one now. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Jocelyn, clutching a newspaper. Have you seen this? The headline read, Local business owner sentenced, a warning tale of fraud and family. Below was Isaac's mugshot, looking nothing like the man who once dominated our lives. I'm not reading it, I decided, handing it back. We don't need to anymore. That's actually why I came, Jocelyn said. I'm moving back home to Oregon, starting fresh. But I wanted to thank you first. Watching you fight back, it helped me find my own strength. After she left, we finished our celebration breakfast. Eleanor had to remind us 3 times that Marley would be late for school if we didn't stop planning her Stanford dorm decor. Just one more thing, Marley said, pulling an envelope from her backpack. I wrote this last night. It's for Dad. I'm not sending it, but I needed to write it. She read it aloud. Dear Dad, I want you to know I'm going to Stanford. Not because of you, but despite you. Mom taught us that real strength isn't about money or power. It's about love and integrity. I hope someday you learn that too. But whether you do or don't, we're okay. We're more than okay. Tyler hugged his sister. Can I add something? We all can, I said, grabbing a pen. For the next hour, we passed the letter around, each adding our own thoughts, not out of anger or revenge, but as a way to close this chapter of our lives. Finally, Eleanor took the letter and placed it in a box with the old family photos. Sometimes healing means letting go, but remembering why you had to. My phone buzzed one last time. Judge Cadence. Thought you'd want to know. Your case has helped 3 other families come forward. You've started something important. I looked around my kitchen, at Marley's Stanford letter, at Tyler's proud grin, at Eleanor's loving presence, at the empty spaces where Isaac's photos once hung. Those spaces didn't feel empty anymore. They felt like room to grow. "Come on," I said, grabbing my keys. "Let's get Marley to school. She's got a bright future to prepare for." And as we walked out into the morning sunshine, I realized we all did. A future we'd built ourselves, on a foundation of truth and strength and love. The only foundation that really matters.